Hi, my name is Jeremy. This is Red Beans Recording, and this is a series of videos on the Teenage Engineering OPZ digital grooveboxy synthesizer thing. I'm trying to go over all the base functionality of it to give you a taste of what it is and how to sort of demystify this weird little TV remote looking thing. So we've done a brief overview. We've done the synth engines in previous videos, which are linked in the description below or in the video end card. And today I want to go over the sequencer, which is one of the most powerful things of the OPZ. You have all of these tracks here represented by these top buttons, which you can move through with this track button, and each one can be sequenced. And that's pretty crazy when you start thinking about the effects and the tape track and the master track and the performance track, and then also these motion tracks, which I'm actually not going to get into because I can't really show them off very well with the way that I have this set up, but we're going to focus on all the audio stuff. There are a couple ways to get notes into the sequencer. You can select a note and press it on the sequencer. Let's go ahead and mute everything else. Great. You can live record. I'm going to turn on my metronome to do that. Turn this up a little bit. Holding down record will allow you to do that. Okay, you can hear that's a little sloppy right there. By default, the OPZ does not quantize your input, which is actually good. Sometimes you want things to be loose. But if you hold this track button down here, this little thing, and you select this area over here, you can turn this knob, and now you're quantized, which is real nice. The other thing you can do is, and you can see that pressing the trig again turns it off, you can step record, which means that by holding down the record button, and you can see now that I've got a little yellow LED here, now I can press any one of these and go through and add a step for each thing. I don't like that, so I'm going to clear that by holding the track and square button. Let me find a kick that I actually like. That's not bad. So the other thing when you're step recording is, so press step, and now the plus key will move you, hey, go that way, will move you to another step. So that's how you add rests in step record. Cool, right? You can also hit track and plus and move your steps left and right in the sequence. You can see that represented both by the LEDs and in the sequencer thing down here. So those are the ways to get input into your OPZ. I can also do a wait for my input record like you could with the OP1 by holding down record and hitting play. And now I've got this thing blinking here. And now when I hit a note, it's going to start recording. Useful if you just want to record a start sequence. Okay, so down here, you can see a representation of the sequencer. It's got the 16 steps, says step count 16, step length 1. If I hold down the track button and shift, the arrow up here, I now have access to changing the length of the sequencer and the steps. So what you can do here is, with the OPZ, the shortcuts are always, once you get into a mode, your black keys and these keys end up being the shortcuts for what you need to do. And there's always a visual representation of that on here. So now up here are my 16 steps. I can now remove steps from this sequence. So let's say I wanted a sequence to kind of have a repeating pattern of 3 and not reset at the end. So one of the ways I can do that is by changing the step length. So quantize my input. Okay, so I want that now to just roll. I want that to not have to reset at the end of every 16 steps. So I'm going to go into here and reduce my steps. Now it's just rolling, and I can do that and make it even weirder if I want. So that's pretty cool. Obviously right now we're just dealing with one bar, 16 steps, but I can make that longer. I can go down here and change the step length which then increases the amount of bars that I have to work with. And you can go really, really long with this. So what's going to happen now that I've done that is the sequence that I've entered is going to seem like it's stretched out. But you still have the ability to play all the notes in between. You're just not going to have access to them on the thing here as like a single step you can press. So I'll show you what that's like. So there are steps in between there, and this is good because I've increased my bar length and I'm able to record a longer sequence, but now I don't have access to those steps that are in between there. The reason that that's kind of problematic is because you now no longer have the ability to put a step component on that individual step. And I'll show you what those are and why that might make sense in a different video. It's not really a huge deal. Like if you want a longer sequence, then that's one way to do it. The other thing when you increase the step length is if you want to parameter lock something to one of these steps, you now won't be able to add a parameter lock to something that's in between those steps. So let's show off parameter locking real quick. If I hold down a trig or a note, I can now step lock. Whoops. All those, any parameter that's available here, I can step lock to that one trig, that one step. Now, you saw me touch it on here and say, whoops, that's because the iPad does not actually do the step lock. You actually need to do it here on the OPZ itself. I don't know why that is, but see, I just did it. I touched it and I messed up the whole thing. But you can see that it's representing the change that I've done. When I press that. So it's because we've increased the step length, the parameter lock is affecting all of the notes, all of the trigs that would occur in between these now because the step length is longer. We've gone over how to enter notes. We've gone over how to parameter lock things. We've gone over how to delete notes. We've gone over how to clear a track. All very useful stuff. I believe there's 4 notes of polyphony available per track. And that includes the sample tracks. Doot, 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 doot. Let's go ahead and try that real quick. So you can stack samples on top of each other, which is really nice. Like I said, every single track can be sequenced, and that includes things like the effects. So the delay effect has a timing change on it. Let's go ahead and go over here and increase our delay send. Switch over to the I just recorded changes in the delay to the delay track as a sequencer track. Now, if I go to my mixer and I mute that track, it's going to mute all of that recorded stuff. So you can have crazy stuff going on here. Let's see what else I could do to make this even more. All right, so that's pretty insane, right? If I mute this track now, it's going to hang out at whatever that last value was and not play the automation that I've recorded to it. I think that's pretty badass. So let's go ahead and clear this. Turn off our send to the delay. And show it off on the reverb, which is, at this point, FX2. So now I've just recorded a bunch of trigs that have automation for the reverb on it, which is pretty cool. If I go back to this, so that's with crazy sequenced effects, and then I can turn it off. So that's why this thing starts to get really, really powerful. Every track is sequenceable, including this tape track, which is sort of a sample and hold audio buffer thing. The black keys become the timing, so 16th note, 8th, dotted 16th, quarter note, etc. And then the keys down here become the point at which in the track that you're sampling from. So let's see. This is a good time to show off that you can select a trig and see how long it's being chorded for. And you can change that. So see this blue here? This is the length of the trig. I don't want to get into tape too much because we're going to go over it in a different thing. But again, so you can record sequences on the tape track and then mute it and unmute it. And you can include that in your mute groups that we talked about in another thing, in the mixer thing. So I want to have like a section that's just crazy ass tape stuff and effect stuff. I can turn those on and off here, which is really cool. The master can be sequenced as well. We'll get into that later. Performance effects can be sequenced. And that's also super, super awesome. And then muted. Also within the sequencer, holding down Shift and holding down a trig will get you into the step component mode. And step components are a really wild way to add variation to your sequence. I don't want to get into them here because I want to do a whole video about step components. And again, Kuko did a really great video on step components as well. So yeah, that's the OPZ sequencer. Very, very powerful, very, very cool, very, very playable in a lot of ways, and because every track can be sequenced and muted and turned on and off. So you can just get these wild performance things. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Beans Recording. If you want to watch more OPZ videos, check out the description or the end card in this playlist. And yeah, have a great day.